It was 7 a.m. on a hot August Chicago morning. This was my 12th near-death experience. I was prying a floating pool purifier and it exploded open. I inhaled a pint of chlorine gas that was inside and my trachea began to close. Instinctively, I rushed to my supplement drawer and drank a solution I'd invented only a few months earlier that could rapidly heal burns. Fortunately, paramedics were just a few minutes down the road, and so I was rushed to the hospital and went through a battery of tests that lasted for several hours. Now, chlorine is very corrosive to the sensitive internal tissue of the throat, but thanks to my own oral solution invention, I began to heal within a few hours and was released that afternoon by a reluctant doctor. She wanted me to be very clear that what usually happens in such an injury is that a lung collapses, the trachea recloses, the person has a stroke, or any combination of the three. As I sat at my desk that night, I began to hear a voice in my head. The words were quite profound, even magical, so just as I had done many times throughout my life, I thought, I better get my pen and paper and write it down. After a few minutes, I had written almost a page of content. While I was marveling at how good I felt about the information, another wave began rushing into my head, and it occurred to me that I needed to actually get on my computer and start typing. These waves kept coming to me for nearly 3 days. I was so entrenched that I only got up for bathroom breaks and some snacks along the way. At that point, I had all sorts of ideas typed that still look brilliant to me more than a decade later. Source Living represents the first 300 principles included in the Source Living app. In physical form, it represents roughly 9 100-page books. Anyway, I was quite overwhelmed by the quality of the information, and while I have been a seeker my whole life, the ideas I received through this reception were far more advanced than every experience I've ever had combined in nearly 6 decades of my life. At first, I barely revisited the material, but then I decided to really dig into studying and practicing it methodically to see if it applied to life on Earth in a way that was more advanced than what I had learned from 3 early mentors in the self-development space, Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar, and W. Clement Stone. For the past few years, I've been practicing the principles and reaping the benefits of dramatic and dynamic evolution to a much higher consciousness, which has now begun to spread to most everyone I connect myself with. Along the way, I began looking up all the information from this transmission on the internet and really took notice that a majority of the significant ideas contained in Source Living were not available in any complete or immediately usable form. It's important to note that I consider myself nothing more than a recipient of the information from the source of the universe. To me, the ideas are original, but what I have observed from practicing them and sharing them with many others is that nearly everyone seems to realize in their hearts and minds that each principle is a sort of universal truth that leads to a clear, rapid, self-evolutionary path of the highest possible consciousness we are meant to attain. I believe that by learning and applying the Source Living principles, the playing field can become virtually level in a short time, allowing everyone who desires a greater life and a better world to rapidly evolve into the best version of themselves. At the end of the day, this allows everyone to fulfill Principle 1, the purpose of life, which is to create positive increase in all things good. It's my firm belief that Source Living contains all of the missing pieces to obtaining the best the universe has to offer. By achieving mastery, which takes a small investment of time each day for about a year, everything we need to do to create a harmonious mind, heart, body, and spirit in the physical, material, and spiritual world for everyone during the current million-year evolution is now within our grasp. So shine on and happy Source Living. This is Greg. I am the recipient bringing you this information.